Last year, I was struggling to play with my son, Bishop. He was 12 years old, and nothing that he was interested was something that I was interested in. He liked playing Fortnite and Minecraft and Roblox, and I hated all three of those games. Any of the games that I liked playing, he wasn't interested in playing. And so we really didn't do any of the same things together. And what I found was I was often just watching him play a game, play Roblox. Maybe I'd be muddling through a Fortnite match with him, but I wasn't trying. I wasn't really trying to get good, and I was okay with losing. And he was infuriated by losing, which meant he didn't want to play with me because I wasn't, having some get-good spirit. All that to say, war games, tabletop war games, really have been a blessing to our interactions. And I want to give you 10 reasons why you might think of playing war games with your kids. And I've written the ideas down, so hopefully I don't ramble on too long. Let's get right into it. Number one, real-life interactions. So one of the things I was noticing with Bishop and with myself, the more times that we were playing video games, was that we weren't really responding to people in real life very well. Often we were acting like we would on the game with people in real life. And let me explain, when you're playing a match of Fortnite against someone and you lose, there's a visceral response that happens. Couple that with the knowledge that a lot of the people you're playing against are bots. They're not even real humans. So you're playing against a bot and maybe you lose to a bot, which now means that you're not even as good as a robot anymore. So you're frustrated and you're yelling, you have the instinct or the desire to throw a controller or something. The real life interaction aspect of war games really takes down a lot of that intensity. Everything is so digital right now. All the interactions, all the connections, all these friendships taking place over Zoom. The thing I was struggling with was I didn't want to have my relationship with my son also be one of those digital things. One of my best friends lives in another country right now, so the only interactions we really can have is like over the phone. And looking at my relationship with my son and realizing, the same thing is happening, but he lives in the same house with me. And that was really upsetting because none of the games were like, a couch co-op game. I grew up with a lot of games where we both just sit on the couch and we play Fight the Monsters with each other. And, now all the games are you got to have your own system. So I'm upstairs playing, he's down here playing. We're on our own systems and we're really not doing the same thing, even though we're kind of doing the same thing because it all became digital. We're not really participating in a thing with each other. And that started to bother me. Once we started moving into Dungeons & Dragons and some card games and board games, and then eventually these tabletop war games, our interactions have gotten so much better. And our adjustment to real life after a session of a game has gotten real better. Hey, we even shake hands sometimes after a match. 2, sharing attention. There are some video games that you can play where you take a turn and then they take a turn and they take a turn and you all kind of have to wait and watch and pay attention to someone else's turn. But that's not the majority of games. The majority of games that you'll play right now, everyone is playing at the same time. And so no one's really paying any attention to the things that anyone else is doing. You're kind of paying attention to your own game. They're kind of paying attention to their own game. With a tabletop war game, it's kind of like a chess match. I had better know what you just did with your bishop, otherwise I'm going to make a bad move. And, so that means when it's your turn, I'm paying attention. I'm sitting there, patiently, observing. Maybe I'm heckling you a little bit, but at the same time, I'm not on my phone just doing my own thing. I'm going to pay attention to you because we're having this real interaction, and your choices are directly going to affect my choices, just like a chess game. 3, gracious competition. I have been a caustic video game player since Halo 2 made online games a thing. We used to get together with LANs, we'd plug in all the Halo games and we'd play, 12 people against 4 or 8 on 8. And we'd have matches where after the match was over, we'd shake hands, we'd eat pizza, we'd talk about all the awesome things that happened. The moment Halo 2 went online, it was just mean things all the time. And so, something about that online interaction made everything you could just say anything to a person. And since you didn't even know if they were real, the tabletop war games are a competitive game, just like the video games. You're going head to head against another player and they might beat you or you might beat them, but it's not like a chess game because you're rolling dice. And so sometimes you might make the perfect move, but you roll dice and you get nothing. And so, I mean, that can be really frustrating. And there are these moments that come out, and I've noticed them with myself and with my son, where, he rolls 14 dice and he's looking for 3 hits and he gets none. And, I'm there going like, good thing he got none, but he's now frustrated. And so he has to deal with the fact that he just rolled bad, but he wasn't making any bad choices. And so this has been a great opportunity for him to learn and to grow and to kind of graciously accept the fact that sometimes things don't work out in your favor, even if you made all the best decisions. Sometimes the pipes burst and, you got to roll with it. And this has been a great way to kind of gear him into life doesn't always go the way you want it to. It's also been a great way for us to try and graciously win. There's something about being in the presence of the person that you just beat, and you got to see all their frustrated responses to their bad dice rolls, and the real life interaction adds and helps build that gracious competition. Number 4, hobby potential. We first started playing Dungeons & Dragons last year. And we had all these like little miniatures that we were using to kind of mark our places on the map, but we didn't really get into painting them that much. And we were sort of okay with just using the white and black miniature or the gray miniature because, but once we started buying war games and the figure comes completely disassembled, there was basically a few steps that you had to take. As well, the box art shows you, hey, this is what it could look like. It could look like Captain America when it's all done. And so if you put in a little effort, you could also make it look like Captain America. There was like a big selling point just in the box coming incomplete that got us to take the first steps and to glue them and to cut them apart and build them. And then, all right, fine, we might as well spray paint them now. All right, fine, we might as well slap some Army 2.0 speed paints on them and see what they turn into. So the hobby potential became a big thing. And where this is really good news for someone who plays video games is right here. If you're someone who likes video games and you like complex video games, like let's say Minecraft, this hobby is fantastic for that person because it creates that system of step-by-step progress for a game, but there's a crafting element to it. So, first you're pulling this guy off of sprues, then you're like gluing him together. Then you're sticking him on his base, then you're spraying him, then you're painting him, now you're playing a game with him. And then you end up at the hobby store and you see someone else's miniature and you notice that they got like flowers and plants on their miniature and you're going like, oh, that looks really good. I want flowers and plants on my miniature. And so you start upgrading an actual craft as you begin playing the game. So instead of running around some digital space and sticking digital gems inside of a digital set of armor inside of a digital chest, you're actually going out there in the world and getting like dirt from your backyard and throwing it on this plastic base and building a miniature. And it's getting better and better as you progress. And then at some point you're like, well, we got to get like a mat. And now we got to get like some buildings. Or, hey, we need some more ruins. Or we have some ruins, but maybe we could build a cage. And so you're doing different stuff. I mean, this was toothpicks and popsicle sticks. And Lex made this, And so you have this hobby potential based in a game. That's really great. It's really great for someone who likes video games because you now can play with your hobby. Number 4, I touched on the fact that the game is connected to a hobby space, but I want to branch into that a little further. You'll notice there's a lot of video games that have free-to-play options. So the player starts playing the game, and once they've invested a little bit of time in it, they feel, well, I might as well spend $10 because I've gotten some time out of this. And then once they spend $10, they go, well, I might as well play it. I spent $10 on it. And that cycle happens over and over and over again until eventually they realize they hate the game. They stop playing the game. And really they just paid for time and they have nothing really to show for it. If you ever decide that you hate this game, you can take these models and play another game with them. You can go grab one-page rules, or you can go grab Warhammer. You can grab some unknown rule set. You can go to wargameguild.com and you can download this is a PDF. You can download a PDF of a different war game and just use these models into it. Because there's an art form based in this game, you can just pull the game rules out, stick in a different set of game rules, and now you can play with these same units. The same goes for terrain. If you make a cage for one game, hey, it can be a cage for another game too. It's your world, it's your oyster. When you're playing a video game, you can't take your Roblox stuff and put it into Minecraft. You can't take all the stuff that you earned from last year's Call of Duty and import it into next year's Call of Duty. At least so far as I know, that may have changed over time, but Activision's pretty greedy, so I'm guessing not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last one should have been 5. So I think I'm on 6 now. Okay, so 6 and 7 are sort of linked together, but I'm going to go over them one at a time. 6 is there's space for meta play. Meta means what's the best way to play this game, like the most aggressive, competitive way to play the game. You can get into the wargaming hobby, and if you're a meta player, you can jump right in and go, what's the best thing? Oh, the Pox monsters and Kill Team are one of the best armies? Cool, I'm going to buy that one. I'm gonna do all the arts and crafts stuff, put them all together, and now I have a meta team. I can go into the game and I can destroy the other players, and I can be a competitive player with my cool artwork, and I can and have fun with the game. Linked. Number 7, space for casual play. I am a casual player. I like playing things that aren't always going to win. My son is the exact opposite. He is meta. He's going to be finding out, okay, what is the most destructive team in the game? When we play together, he usually wins. It doesn't really matter because I have fun playing, so long as I don't have to kill Hulk every time. But the point is, the game is a really fun place for both casual and meta play. Obviously, if you're playing a casual player against a meta player, there's going to be some need for both of those players to bend a little bit. The casual player might have to be a little more competitive, and the competitive player might have to be a little more casual. This is also a great space for that because, again, it's a real-life interaction. Number 8, physical versus digital. So I've touched on some of the aspects of digital games, how you can end up spending money in a real way, and the same can be said for this. This costs money. Like, this guy costs money and this guy costs money. In the physical space, once again, we can take these things and do other things with them. We can make our own game. We can play a different game. We can transport these characters into another game and use them how we want to. But on top of that, there's a large after-selling market for these figures. So my son could sell this on Etsy. I don't know how much exactly that would go for, but I've seen Marvel Crisis Protocol figures that are selling painted for about $90. So if you're someone who's like, look, I just want to have an artistic hobby, play a game, and then every so often I want to sell a figure, hey, that's a great way to get a return on your investment. And that's actually number 9, return on investment. Each one of these games you get, they have like a core box, the starter box. You're going to get like 15 to 20 figures. You're going to get a few pieces of terrain. You're going to be able to start the game. You're going to have all the measurement tools. You're going to be ready to go. And so immediately, the moment you spend that $100 to $160, you're getting something back right away. I've been playing video games for a long time, and I've spent lots of digital money in games. I've spent probably a few $1,000s on Hearthstone, and I have nothing to show for it. There's nothing I get. I don't get to take any of those Hearthstone cards home. When I'm done with Hearthstone, I'm done with that money. Largely, I regret that expenditure. I regret that expenditure of time and money. And you might be someone who's getting there with video games. Your kids might be people who are getting there with video games. You might be starting to realize that they actually don't enjoy the time that they play Roblox or Minecraft or any of the other digital games that they're playing, because they're not games that they play just on their own. They want attention while they're playing them. They want you to watch them play the game, or they're jumping from one Roblox game to the next Roblox game, one Nintendo Switch game to the next Nintendo Switch game, and never really even finishing the games that they buy, or never really enjoying the time that they're in those games. Maybe they're always caustic. The return on investment with these war games is, one, you get a thing. It's a physical thing right in front of you, and you can play it. And you have the potential to resell it if you want to. You could paint it and resell it and probably make some money on it. And if nothing else, and you don't like the game rules that you have these models for, you can transfer them into something else, and now you can just be playing with these guys with, Shatterpoint or whatever you want to. So the return on investment is almost immediate. If you spend any time doing the hobby thing, my son spent about 20 hours painting this Red Hulk. Probably spent about 10 hours working on this Hulkbuster. If you're going with the video game aspect of looking at time versus money, then I think there's a better investment in the wargaming market. Number 10, game to hobby adjacency. If you get into hobby painting for war games, you're right next to two different things. Hobby crafting, which is like building dioramas and painting sculptures or maybe painting canvases. So like you're right next to that. And then general board gaming. Lots of people love playing board games, and lots of people love doing the creativity thing. If you have a kid who loves video games, you have a kid who loves playing some sort of, just deep, connected video game, that kid's mind is always connecting things together. And it's going to be really difficult to get that kid, off of video games and into board games because there's not enough connectivity into a creative space. And the kid's desire to be creative is going to still be floundering, and the video game is going to be pulling that attention. If you get your kid interested in some sort of hobby crafting, the same thing is going to be happening, but in reverse. The kid who likes being creative and customizing their own character on whatever game is going to be really, really interested in putting together, some sort of diorama or paint a picture, but they're going to be missing all the gamey aspects of playing the game that was connected to their created character. You start getting your kid into hobby war painting for war games, you're going to be hitting both the creative side and the gamey side that the kid is looking for. Because any kid who's playing modern day games isn't just playing games, and they also aren't just creating stuff. They're doing both at the same time. Video games are a really strange form of art in that they are created by an artistic team of people, but they don't exist until you start playing them. So when you play a video game, you feel like you're playing art. You feel like you're making art. And when you watch someone else play a game that you play, you can feel the physics of that game as you're watching it. It's an incredibly just engrossing system of art combined with entertainment. So it's going to be really difficult to pull a kid away from that system of entertainment because that system of entertainment feels artistic and it also feels gamey. The wargaming hobby has been great for my son Bishop and my our interactions together. It's been great for our creative interests, and it's been fantastic for our gaming interests. Video games weren't satisfying any of the things that either my son or I liked individually, and they definitely weren't satisfying any of the things that we liked doing together. Wargaming has been great for our relationship, our interactions, and given us something new to focus our attentions on that feels artistic and has a game based in it. If this content is helpful for you, this is going to be the focus of our channel here, trying to help families get into tabletop gaming. If you're interested in seeing more content like this, information about how to do wargaming with your family or with your kids, that's what this channel is going to be about. If you like this content, hit the subscribe button. You'll see new videos when we put them out. I have a few other videos that are going to be coming out pretty soon. I'm going to give a list of different YouTube channels that have been very helpful for my son and myself in learning how to build all these models and terrain pieces and stuff. We're also going to go through some of the reasons why we like Marvel Crisis Protocol specifically. Anyway, so if you like this stuff, hit subscribe, maybe send this to a friend. God be with you.